Hello and welcome to the Are We There Yet podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Abraham, and I'm here today with special guest, Ken Schschmitt. So Ken is a fellow Vancouverite, and he's had a really interesting path getting him to where he is today. So he's gone from engineering to traditional Chinese medicine to construction, and now he's heavily involved in the travel industry. And him and his wife, they blog at sensiblenomads.com. And welcome, Ken. I'm so happy to have you here with us.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, it's great.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about how you and your wife got started in the travel industry. Well, first you can tell us about how you got to the travel industry. That would be great.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, I came from an engineering background, or initially went into engineering as soon as I got out of high school, and I found that extremely boring. So I ended up ending it about 3 years into it. So I was into it 3 years, and then I just said, enough's enough. That's too much. So I ended up just working with companies outside of that, was still in the engineering realm, but I couldn't see any direction of how it felt right for me. So I thought, okay, well, I was really into doing reflexology and different things like that, and massage, and I thought, why don't I go for like an alternative medicine? So I went into naturopathic and traditional Chinese medicine, and I actually had that went into it, and 4 years later I became an actual doctor of this. Had a clinic with Finlandia Pharmacy here in Vancouver, and managed the pharmacy as well, actually. But it still didn't feel quite fulfilling. And not only that, I had a couple young kids at the time, and being a beginner sort of practitioner is really hard to generate an income, something that's sustainable and keeps a family going. So I thought I got to do something else. And every day there's this construction project going across the road. Every day I see that. One day I just said, enough's enough. I took all my files, gave them to my partner who was up there, and said, today's my last day. And off I went. I started a construction company, and 12 years into that, I had a lot of success with it. And so business for me was always kind of the underlying dog that just kept coming back over and over and over again, which is kind of where I'm at today. Which also led itself into the travel industry for me, or the ability to travel. My wife and I both love travel. I grew up traveling. We went all over the Canada, United States, Mexico, and stuff like this. We went to Europe a lot. So for me, the travel bug was in me, and I just couldn't get rid of it. So I had to figure out, how am I going to make my lifestyle more involved with travel, and kind of pursue that more as a full-time lifestyle versus just a career, or just a aspect of a weekend or something like this. So that's kind of how things kind of led along. And right now we travel a lot, basically over the summer here, because our summers are kind of short-ish. We pretty much live in the RV for the entire summer. So that being from June, July, August, and September to some extent, I suppose. Outside of that, we just do the typical weekend jaunts when it's a little bit colder. We'll head south down to US or something like that, just to get some sun on our skin. Other than that, we fly around a lot. My wife is Filipino, so we fly to Philippines quite often. We're over in Thailand. We're going to Australia, Bali, and possibly Papua New Guinea, depending. It's kind of looking a little sketchy over there right now. So I'm not really too interested in being munched on by cannibals. So so there's a lot of different components to the travel of what we do.
That's awesome. I love how you guys do different kinds of traveling. You know, you do the long-term travel, and by long flights, as well as the RVing on the weekends and over the summer too. And I think that's really great that you combine the two. And I love how you have gone from one industry to another industry very, very smoothly in your career. People who are starting businesses, can you give them some advice on how to make that transition, or how to be that flexible when something's not working for you?
Yeah, and I think that's just it. When you feel it inside, if it's not working for you, and that's the thing. I think a lot of people just go, well, shoot, like, I need to have a job, so I'm just going to roll with it. And you get to some point in your life, or at the end of your life, even possibly, and go, well, now here I am. And did I actually do what I wanted to do in my life? And I would say probably more than 50% of the people living say, no, I didn't have that opportunity, and I just kind of did what I needed to do to provide, and that's just where it started and ended. I don't have that mindset. I'm a bit more on I don't want to say on the fly type thing. But I look inside and I really, really kind of analyze me and how can I design my lifestyle around me instead of going to work for somebody else. And it's always been that way since I was 19 years old. 19 years old is when I first started my own company, my very first one. And since then, it's just been an evolution of different companies. It kind of actually evolved into this thing where at this point right now, not only do I have Sensible Nomads, but I also have this other business called Power Business Coaching, where I help people in businesses, and especially on the travel side. Like a lot of people ask me, well, how do you afford to travel all the time, and how do you get all this time away from work and da-da-da? And that's where I can really put in perspective how to do that. So the business coaching really, really helps people kind of understand where they're at. And what I've found is there's a whole lot of industries that you wouldn't expect that you could travel with. Construction is one of them. And when somebody said to me like, oh, well, why don't you, take some time off and see if you can travel more while you're doing your construction? And I'm like, well, you need to physically be there to build something. You need to physically be there. So I actually had to reanalyze what I'm telling other people and say to myself, how can I do that? Because there is ways to do that. And it took a little bit of exploration, and here we are. I mean, I could fly anywhere in the world right now and still do what I want to do. Not exactly in the way that I was doing it before, obviously, because I'm not physically present, but I can do a lot of it now. For example, the project management, or any of the components around putting together projects or stuff like this. And everybody has a talent that they can utilize to be able to do that same thing. And so I think that's the thing, is just kind of pulling those pieces out and figuring out what you can actually do on the run and have the lifestyle. If travel is what you really want to do and really want to pursue, there's definitely ways to do it.
That's great you said that, because I think a lot of people get sorry, the sun is coming up right across from me, and it is right.
I see that.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people, don't see outside of that box of what's traditional business. And I think as we're moving more towards business online, we're seeing a lot more opportunities arise for, traveling, but also having a career as well, working for a big company or having your own business. I mean, originally it was just with your own business would be kind of the most flexible, but we had another guest on, Megan May, and she was talking about 100 careers that you could travel with around the world, which is great. So when you're talking to and coaching your clients, who are looking to have a little bit more flexibility, more travel in their life, what is some of the fears, or what are some of the things that are coming up for them that you're kind of helping them work through?
The biggest fear is, how do I transition from my 9 to 5 into the new platform, or the new so-called job, or whatever they're looking at to get out of it. How to make that transition actually happen and not impact the family, especially if you're talking to, well, actually it doesn't really matter at this point now, because it used to be more of the men were out there, the breadwinners of the house. Not so much anymore. Now it's the women, especially here in Vancouver where everything's so darn expensive. Everybody has to work. Send your kids to work even.
Forget school, just go right to work.
That's right. Yeah, and so that's kind of the big challenge I see right now, is that just helping people through that stage. And you don't have to. Like, that's the cool thing about getting yourself prepared to do this, is you can still have your 9 to 5 if that's what makes you feel comfortable. Build yourself up on your other job, or your other avenue that's going to give you that possibility to travel. And once you're generating equal incomes, yes, it's going to take a lot of time and it's going to take a lot of effort, but you can definitely do that. Once you're at an equal pace where you feel like, okay, I'm making, say, $6,000 per month with this one, and I'm making $6,000 per month or more with this one, you're free. At that point, you're free. You're now your own boss, and now you can and go to where you want to be. There's a lot of complications around travel and working just by itself. For example, the internet. That is one that I have so many problems with, and we here have these problems. And so I go through a lot of the different aspects of even though you've got now to where you want to be and you are able to travel, that doesn't mean you can do that same thing absolutely anywhere, because there's some jobs or some commitments that you have to be available to your clients all the time. For business coaching, for me, that's one of the biggest things. And I can't just go to the middle of the jungle and live comfortably and not have that outer touch with people, through the internet, because I do need still internet connection where I'm working. And sometimes that's a challenge, and sometimes that's a really big challenge. And I mean, some of the drawbacks that's part of the drawbacks, I guess, that you could have on the traveling businesses.
Yeah, for sure. Internet's been a big topic on this show.
Yeah,
Whether if it's in your RV or if it's when you're going traveling to another country, trying to figure out, and one thing actually someone brought up once was, how when you go to a different country, you maybe experience this in Asia, you get blocked from certain websites, so you can't do certain aspects of your business from different countries too. Is that
that's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I've never had that issue. China, I know, is one country that's really big on that. They're very restricted to what you have access to. I've never had that. I've never really needed to worry. In the RV, I mean, I'm primarily in Canada, United States, or Mexico.
Right.
And through this continent, we're pretty good for Wi-Fi connection most places. We've gone, though, we were traveling over the summer. We went down to Montana, and we were going through the mountains there, and we found this really cool place that we thought, yeah, let's just hang out here. We'll be here for a week, kind of thing. So we stayed there for a week. But I was going squirrely trying to find the proper location. I had to go up on the hill and down the valley. I just going all over the place. And that's just right here, where you would think that with the technology that we have here, you can practically go anywhere over Canada or United States and have connection. But that's, sometimes you need to adjust your plans to make it actually work.
Yeah, especially if you're relying on the internet for work, it's a little bit tricky.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit about your favorite kinds of trips that you've been on, in the past. So tell us your favorite airplane trip that you've been on and why you liked it. And then also tell us your favorite RV trip.
Yeah, for sure. So actually this particular one I was just saying about the Montana trip, we had a lot of fun. We actually went down. We have a friend. We have a Bichon dog. And a friend of ours said she really likes the temperament of this dog. Can you find me one of these dogs? So my wife found one down in, actually it was in Spokane, just a little bit north of Spokane. But we thought, okay, well, we'll go down and get you this dog. But let's make kind of a big trip out of this thing. Mm-hmm. So off we went. We went from Vancouver down to Seattle, down to Portland, cut over through Lower Washington, and then we head over to Montana and back again. So we made this great big trip out of it. We had a blast. It was so much fun. And, having this new little puppy who was only, what was she, probably maybe 3 months old, something like that at the time, or just 4 months old maybe. So, it was really fun. We've got 2 dogs anyway. So we had 3 dogs with us at the time, and it was pretty cool. And, the funny thing I find about being in an RV and doing this kind of lifestyle is, let's say we pull up into an RV park right now. We get everything all set up, and we're hanging out there. You look around, and you got all these nice, beautiful RVs that everybody's got, and you kind of go, I'm feeling a little bit young here because everybody else is retired. And they're looking at you going, how are you here like all this time? And, you're looking at the watch going, it's not even a weekend, what's going on here? And so you have some really interesting conversations with people, and they actually become really curious and like, how can I do this too? Because, they're at a stage in their life where they're either retired, semi-retired, or something like this. And they're thinking to themselves, well, why wouldn't you want to have a little extra bonus or a little extra cash in your pocket? So we strike up some pretty interesting conversations just due to that. So I would say that Montana trip, we had so many people asking us about different things. And we actually ended up going out and getting some Sensible Nomad t-shirts and stuff like that. So it's got some good stuff. And it just creates some good vibes out there. As far as the flights go, because we travel to Philippines quite often, we've had some really cool flights, some really nice trips over there. Before I met my wife, I've gone to France and Germany and stuff like that. So I did one trip to southern France, and it actually surprised me. I was quite shocked on how beautiful southern France was. And it was in October when I went, and it was probably, I think it was about 30, 32 degrees there at that time. It was just like midsummer time there, and it shouldn't be. It should be something similar to what we have here in Canada, and that's getting to the temperatures start to come down and stuff though. So that was probably my nicest, or a couple of my nicest flights that I've done, or nicest trips that I've done.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love South of France. Beautiful there. Although I was really surprised with
Yeah,
South of
very.
France, the beaches had huge rocks. Like they weren't like nice,
Mm.
wasn't nice sandy beaches like I was expecting. But it was beautiful
Yeah,
anyways. It's a long time ago that I was
yeah,
there. That's awesome. I'd love to go down through
yeah.
Montana too. It looks like a really great area to travel through. So that's on our plans this year too. And, doing the Pacific Northwest kind of like circle like you guys did in the summer is amazing. It's just like such a great place to be in the summer. It's warm, but it's not too hot like other places in the US.
That's right. Well, we did a couple. Not, I think it was 2 years ago. We drove from here to San Diego straight. And, we just took turns back and forth, and it's a 24-hour drive. So we literally, like I drove, I think we started at about 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and we just drove straight. Actually, we left at about 4 o'clock here. I remember going through Seattle, and Seattle's
Traffic.
bottled. So hard to go through Seattle. But once we got through Seattle, like from there down through Portland and all the way down, it went really well. But we drove down there at Mach speed, and then came really slow up the coast back. And we went through, from San Francisco up to Washington on the coast. And it's probably one of the most amazing drives that you can do. You're going through the forest, and these beautiful, huge old growth trees are there. There's sand dunes there that are, you got the highway, and then these great big sand dunes, and then the ocean on the other side. And it's just so pretty. It's such an amazing view and experience to have.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've been looking forward to doing that trip this fall. That's on our list to go from Vancouver to California. So really excited about that. I think I've just heard so many great things, and I haven't done that trip since I was probably 6 years old. So I really don't remember any of it.
You'll love it. Yeah, you'll love it.
Yeah, that's great. So Ken, as we wrap up this interview on the Are We There Yet podcast, what is some tips for people thinking about transitioning into a full-time kind of lifestyle where they have the freedom to travel as much as you do? What's some things you can help them with, and then where can they find out more information about what you're doing?
Yeah, I think the big thing, again, going back to looking at what you can offer, like what will actually get you to where you want to be. Having some sort of plan really helps out. Although, like a lot of people just, they've gone through life in the job that they have, so they're kind of unsure what's actually available out there for them to do. So I think, like doing a little mini consult or something like that with somebody like me or you even who's got that experience and can say, here's some options that you can take. And that person might even come to you and say, here's what I've been thinking about. What do you think can happen? Or what do you think will be the result if I just tried it? And that's the thing, like just play out some of these things in your mind and talk to people who have done it. And I've got my sensiblenomads.com, so you can reach me at info@sensiblenomads.com or powerbusinesscoaching.com. Both of those things I can help you guys out with pretty much anything, get you some ideas moving and look at the viability of what you're trying to accomplish and to see if there's something that you're already doing that you can still do.
Awesome. Yeah, that's so important. I think, seeing just my past experience being in the wellness industry, seeing wellness professionals that, seeing people one-on-one really gets yourself a nice job, right? Really, where you have to be there all the time. Well, how can you look at that differently to then take that on the road and have some more freedom with what you do? So I think that's awesome. The coaching that you're doing around that. So definitely head up Ken for a consultation. Find out more on Sensible Nomads. Follow his adventures around the world. You guys have a Facebook community too for your group?
We do have a Facebook. Yep. Yeah, for Sensible Nomads, we do. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, make sure you guys check them out. And Ken, thanks so much for being on the Are We There Yet podcast. And we'll see you on the summit interview for the RV Family Summit coming up soon.
You're welcome. Thank you.